Tonight, turbocharging tourism in the top end. Which businesses will receive a lifeline? Another flight of stranded Aussies touches down in the top end. A man bitten on the groin during a violent fight in Waggaman. A mother pleads guilty to more charges over a fatal crash that killed her son. And the push to fly regional Victorians direct to the NT.
This is 9 News Darwin.
Good evening. The Territory Government is splashing cash in an effort to get more visitors to the NT by opening a fourth round of tourism grants for operators. The Visitor Experience Enhancement Program will help some of the Territory's most loved tourist locations bounce back from the pandemic.
If it's not already popular enough, Darwin's Hanneman restaurant is set for an expansion, winning one of 60 grants on offer from the Territory Government to improve their alfresco dining area.
We can't travel at the moment, so we want to make it like you are going to Bali, so we're doing some cooking show for outdoor area. We just want to support local as well and create some more job opportunity. The
government is opening its pockets once again, digging out $1.5 million for a fourth round of grants. Businesses can receive up to $50,000 each, but they need to spend up big too and match the funding dollar for dollar.
The matched funding ensures that there is a turnover in the local economy, so creating jobs within the hospitality and tourism sector, but also jobs in the projects that are being rolled out.
The Visitor Experience Enhancement Program also allows for operators to attract positive online reviews and recommendations to drive more tourists through the doors. It's not just Hanneman that's set to benefit. The Point Stewart Wilderness Lodge, Royal Flying Doctor Service and the World Expeditions Camp will all upgrade their offerings too. Top End Safari Camp will also make improvements to its pool, deck and bar area. Ainsley Kosh, 9 News.
Australian children are tonight reuniting with their parents in Howard Springs after months overseas. They were part of a group of almost 200 citizens aboard a repatriation plane from India.
Welcome aboard Qantas Flight 112 from Delhi to Darwin.
After an anxious 2020 stranded overseas, this is the flight Aussies have been holding out for. And this morning it was touchdown at home at last for 182 citizens.
These flights are particularly important. Many families have been separated, young children on board these flights who will be reunited with parents.
The Qantas plane from New Delhi flying into Darwin's RAF base this morning, the second repatriation flight organised by the federal government.
The same processes that were previously used on Friday with pre-screening and then also screening when they arrive.
So there have been no positive COVID results.
The group, a third of which are children, were bussed out to Howard Springs where they'll settle into their first night in quarantine. And for a couple of parents, it will mean a long-awaited reunion.
There have been one or two mums and dads that have wanted to come up and spend the quarantine time, have understood that they must stay in the quarantine. There can be no exception for them.
The next repatriation plane will touch down in Darwin on November 8th, with a further 3 to follow from the UK, South Africa and India. Meanwhile, a man in his 70s who arrived from London on Friday has been taken to Royal Darwin Hospital with a pre-existing medical condition.
Just to reassure people that he's getting the best care, it is not COVID or respiratory related.
We're in the process of organising his repatriation to his home state, which is New South Wales.
Elle, Conway, 9 News.
Andrea Groening has today pleaded guilty in Darwin local court over 2 remaining charges of driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. It follows her 12-month sentence for causing a crash that killed her son and a friend last year. The 25-year-old was disqualified from driving for 6 months and fined $500. Meanwhile, around 5,000 people have signed an online petition calling on the DPP to appeal her jail sentence. A 19-year-old woman is in custody following the domestic violence incident where police were called to a Waggaman home last night after the woman allegedly stabbed a female, bit a male on the groin and poured hot water on a second man. The 19-year-old female victim was taken to Royal Darwin Hospital in a stable condition. After months of tough economic news, tonight there's some light on the horizon. The Reserve Bank revealing it appears Australia could be out of a recession, but it won't be confirmed until later this year, and it comes with a word of warning.
As a lockdown city prepares for its first taste of freedom in months, there's some hopeful news for the whole country.
It looks like December quarter for the country probably recorded positive growth rather than negative.
The Reserve Bank's Deputy Governor suggesting Australia's recession might be over for now.
Possibly the drag from Victoria was a little less than what we guessed back in August.
Looks as though we're out of recession already. We won't get official confirmation for a couple of months.
Economists say it's a positive sign, but we're not out of the woods yet.
And at some stage, all those federal government supports that are keeping people employed, they're not going to stay in place.
What happens when JobKeeper ends in March and JobSeeker winds back will be crucial. Unemployment is still expected to rise in the months ahead.
The government, by withdrawing JobKeeper too early, is making themselves part of the problem, not part of the solution.
While JobSeeker is set to be reduced at the end of the year, the government's indicated the payments will continue at a higher rate than they were before the pandemic started. A decision is expected by mid-December.
I call the Prime Minister.
Today there were pats on the back for Victorians for getting through to the other side.
It is very important that this Parliament today come together and express its thanks and gratitude to the people of Victoria.
And we say, well done.
But no pleasantries to the state government, from the Victorian counting the national cost.
The Victorian people have suffered so much. It should have never, ever have come to this.
Fiona Willan, 9 News.
It was pushed through in just weeks, but it's a move that will affect Americans for generations. Conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett has been sworn into the Supreme Court. With only 8 days left, it's the first time in history a confirmation has taken place so close to an election.
So steadfast on getting this done, Donald Trump plays host at the White House after dark. Judge Amy Coney Barrett sworn in to the Supreme Court.
So help me God.
On the South Lawn, seats were distanced and masks worn. Lessons learned after her nomination became a super spreader event.
The yeas are 52, the nays are 48.
As quick as it was controversial, Donald Trump filled a vacancy in the country's highest court 8 days before an election.
One of the darkest days in the 231-year history of the United States Senate.
And it marked the end of a marathon day for the president. 3 rallies back-to-back in the pivotal state of Pennsylvania. Squeezing in every hour of campaigning he can. And belittling Joe Biden, who just days from the election had no events planned.
He doesn't do that because nobody shows up, that's why. And now he's at 50%. You know where he's at 50%, right up there he's at 50%.
And this mistake didn't do Joe Biden any favours.
4 more years of Georgia, going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
He didn't remember my name. I'm insulted by it. I didn't know. Was I supposed to be happy or was I supposed to be sad?
It wasn't long before the Democratic candidate made an impromptu public appearance, also in Pennsylvania, and getting defensive.
There has not been a day that hadn't been a 12-hour day yet.
When you see the way Donald Trump draws crowds in the thousands in these small American towns in the middle of a pandemic, it's quite clear this president speaks to rural America in a way few other Republican candidates have. The question is whether this is enough to get him over the line one more time.
He supports Americans. He wants America to come first.
In Martinsburg, Pennsylvania, Alexis Daish, 9 News.
Melbourne's counting down to midnight when lockdown is officially lifted. And today the state's Premier announced further freedoms when it comes to having friends and family over. And for the second day in a row, Victoria's recorded no new COVID cases.
The Hilton family in Chelsea, lapping up the news, their COVID project will soon have visitors.
We put a pool in actually at the start of June, so eagerly awaiting to get our friends and family over for a swim and a barbecue and a nice cold beer, that's for sure.
The Premier announcing from midnight, households can have 2 visitors and their dependents per day.
One group to visit you and they can't visit anyone else that day.
If one member of a household visits another home, that's the total visits allowed for the day, and all within 25 kilometres of home.
I am sorry that there have to be limits, but there's just no other choice that we can responsibly and safely make.
He acknowledges that presents difficulties for shared households.
You can go down the park though with as many households as you like, as long as you haven't got more than 10 people.
More welcome news in the COVID numbers game today, 0.
Double Donut Day is terrific.
For the second day in a row, Victoria's recorded no new cases of coronavirus and no deaths, the first time since March 5 and 6. The rolling average is down to 2.8, mystery cases 6, active infections is 87 and the number of people in hospital 5.
The Premier also clarified that come November 8, when Melburnians can finally leave the city, there will be a trade-off. While the Ring of Steel will be gone, masks won't be going anywhere for all Victorians.
There is still some virus out there, we know that. We'll be wearing masks, I think, at least till the end of the year, and we could be wearing masks into next year.
Much of Victoria's future hangs on keeping testing numbers high and the success of the contact tracing system. While it's been much maligned, Brett Sutton says it's much improved.
I will say now, I think our case, contact and outbreak management is the best in Australia at the moment.
With just hours to go until Australia's toughest and longest lockdown is lifted, the Chief Health Officer says it's been worth it for what's coming.
We don't need the same levels of control going into Christmas than we would have to have if we had 10 or 20 or 30 cases a day.
For now, the immediate decision for many households will be who's on the invite list.
Nearly all my friends.
Brett McLeod, 9 News.
The battle over state borders is intensifying, with growing calls to open up, the latest from former Queensland Premier Peter Beattie, who says the shutdown is costing jobs. It follows another day of 0 new COVID cases in Victoria and Queensland and just 2 in New South Wales.
A lot of talk, not a lot of clarity. But when it comes to our borders, one former Premier says the time for talk is over. Now we need action.
We've got to find ways to protect jobs in Australia, grow the economy and open up. The way to do that is not have state borders, do this as a nation, as Australians, and do contact tracing, which is the way to do it.
The Queensland Premier is expected to make an announcement on opening her border on Friday, one day before the state election. Peter Beattie's outburst not swaying her.
I will listen to the health advice to keep Queenslanders safe every single day.
And that meant a blockade at the border for racing driver Jamie Whincup and 6 team members returning from Bathurst, told to quarantine in Queensland or return to New South Wales, which is what they did.
We respect their decision. Obviously the situation keeps changing for them, so they need to keep changing the rules.
In Victoria, a further easing of restrictions, limited home visits to be allowed from tomorrow as a host of businesses prepare to reopen from midnight tonight.
I think it's one of these things where you just need to hear the whistle blow and start the ball rolling. Let's get this game going again.
All driven by another day of 0 new cases.
The last time we reported 2 consecutive days of 0 cases was the 5th and 6th of March.
But even this is not enough to convince the New South Wales Premier to open the border with Victoria just yet.
We'll take the border down as soon as we can, but we do need to wait to see what impact easing of restrictions in Melbourne and Victoria has before we decide exactly when that will be.
Daniel Andrews conceding other states will need convincing.
I think as soon as we can get it open and we can be agreed on that, we will.
New South Wales had 2 locally transmitted cases of COVID-19 in the past day, both linked to known cases, and 10 overseas travellers in quarantine. Since January, 3 million people have been tested, but just 6,400 yesterday, down 1,000 from the day before. Vigilance remains strong. The Portugal Community Club in Marrickville will shut for 7 days from tomorrow for COVID safety breaches after fines and visits failed to result in improvements. Despite that, Tasmania now believes we're low risk, meaning people from New South Wales can travel to the Apple Isle without quarantining from November 6. That's the first time in 7 months. Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
And regional Victorians could soon fly direct to Darwin, with Avalon Airport in discussions with Jetstar about opening up at least 1 flight per day from Geelong. The move would make it easier for regional Victorians to travel without needing a special exemption to pass through Melbourne's Tullamarine Airport.
As a government, we welcome the opportunity for more commercial arrangements, and whatever we can do to support that, we would do.
The NT opens its borders to regional Victoria on Monday. Let's have a quick weather hit now with Elle Conway. And Elle, how did things look right across the city today?
Paul, there was plenty of cloud cover over the city for much of the morning, and around lunchtime we had the heavens really open up over Darwin, Palmerston and much of the rural area. Things of course have cleared up a lot here in the Botanic Gardens tonight, but we can expect a little bit more rain through the week. I'll have more of that later in the bulletin for you.
Can't wait. See you then, Elle. Thank you for that. Well, coming up at 9 News, severe weather lashes parts of Queensland. Just how much did the federal government's failed COVID Safe app cost? You will be staggered. Protesters arrested after a precious tree is felled.
Australia's Airtasker disaster.
This little hole destroyed my apartment.
Joanne just wanted a new shelf, but it turns out this handyman wasn't so handy.
It could have been lethal.
He did a runner and left neighbours to clean up.
I chased after him.
Now, who foots the bill? A current affair next.
You have finished your houses.
The inside's done. Now for the great outdoors. Tonight, Wednesday and Thursday, the front yards and front of the houses. But this garden battle...
We've got a major problem.
...turns dirty.
Sake, mate. What's missing here? It's an absolute dog's breakfast.
Has one team thrown in the towel. Tonight, 7:30.
We're here for when the heavens open and the winds howl. We're here for when the water just won't stop. We're here for the wet and we're here for the dry. We're here because we know there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And there's nowhere else we'd rather be either. TIO Home Insurance. We're for Territorians.
Steelline create beautiful roofs made from Colorbond steel that are strong, stylish and long-lasting. For service over and above that, on everyone else, see the local roofing experts at Steelline.
Beds R Us want all of Australia to sleep on a premium Swiss-Tech mattress.
So, we've decided to go your halves.
Fair income, half price on a premium Swiss-Tech mattress. That's a great deal. Beds R Us, home of the Australian-made mattress.
Cabin fishing is BCF and fun.
Nothing beats our BCFing best brands heading into summer. Check out this new Igloo cooler. Club price $99.99. Cripper.
BCF and fun. Hey!
Got an old commercial pressure washer needing an upgrade? Whether it's 10 years old or not working at all, now's the time to trade in your old commercial pressure washer and save. Get up to $1,500 trade-in discount across a range of Karcher's hot and cold commercial pressure washers. And if eligible, take advantage of the government's instant asset write-off. Whether it's cleaning the truck or heavy-duty farm machinery, Karcher has the right equipment to do the job. Visit NT Fasteners Coolalingga today.
9 News Darwin, proudly brought to you by TIO, insurance for Territorians.
Mendel Beach Casino has been forced to lay off another 12 full-time and part-time staff due to the financial pressures faced by the COVID crisis. In a statement, Mendel Beach Casino Management says it is no longer eligible for JobKeeper, which has added to financial strains on the business, adding it is unable to provide approximately 200 casual staff with the regular amount of shifts. The hotel and resort areas have remained closed since March. A line of severe storms has lashed southeast Queensland, flooding roads and properties where residents are now left to pick up the pieces.
From early afternoon, starting out west, the line of spring storms started rolling in towards the east. This is the supercell brewing near Warwick, a funnel cloud forming. At this home in Esk, the gardens turned to a cascading, muddy mess.
All of a sudden it was pouring and I looked out the window and went, oh my God, my garden's going.
The ominous clouds delivered these hailstones and a huge deluge. In just 1 hour, 70 millimetres fell at Upper Lockyer, 62 at Helidon, 48 at Calbar and 80 millimetres at Beachmere.
We have a good chance of at least achieving our average rainfall for Queensland this season and even potentially getting above average as we move through spring.
The deluge causing flash flooding. This driver ending up in the thick of it at Wollongabba, swallowing this entire intersection down the road. And at Kedron Brook, the local park's now a splash park. Outside and inside, a torrent running through this Wavell Heights gym. The University of Queensland inundated as well. Up in the clouds, planes were forced into holding patterns west of the city, waiting for a break in the storm to land. The brollies weren't great, but the rain was good. The grass watered, and like here in Caboolture, the tanks are full. While in the city, this bin chicken took the chance for a much-needed bath. Alex Heinke, 9 News.
Well, we were urged to download as the coronavirus pandemic took hold, but now it's been revealed selling the COVID Safe app has cost nearly $7 million in 2 months. Labor says the app's a failure after it picked up just 17 contacts.
Sold with plenty of promise.
Download the app. That is Australia's ticket.
Our screens were bombarded.
So we can get back to the things we love.
Ads with a hefty price tag.
The cost of the COVID Safe app specific advertising in 2019-20 was $6.95 million.
The COVID Safe app was launched at the end of April, so that's almost $7 million over just 2 months. Add to that $5 million to develop it and improve it. It's a price tag of almost $12 million. And how many contacts has it helped identify?
17.
The app has been a failure.
Waste of money?
No, not at all.
The 17 contacts are all in New South Wales. Not one has been found anywhere else.
Because it's useless. Yeah.
As Melbourne opens up, the federal government insists the app will be more useful, but Victorian authorities aren't convinced.
It's made Bluetooth connections for people across a wall. That's not a close contact. It hasn't delivered as much as we would have liked.
Melbourne's Under Siege tracers did stop using it for a fortnight in July.
During that time, 6,600 odd people were infected with COVID-19.
7 million Australians have downloaded the app and registered, but the federal government has no way of knowing how many users have it active right now.
I've seen better value land deals in Badgerys Creek Airport than this contact tracing app.
And there aren't any plans to switch it off.
I think the app is performing exceptionally well.
Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Protesters and police have clashed in Victoria's west, where a sacred Indigenous tree was cut down. Critics accusing the Premier, Daniel Andrews, of having blood on his hands.
Chanting, chained to the ancient trees these protesters are desperate to protect.
Always will be. Aboriginal land.
Members of the Dudjab Warang Embassy were told to move on this morning by Victoria Police as machinery and contractors moved in to continue work on the Western Highway duplication between Buangor and Ararat. But the group of 70 supporters refused, angry the roadworks are encroaching on culturally significant Indigenous trees. Tensions escalated, clashes erupted and 50 people were arrested.
You're breaking law!
Yesterday, a tree was removed, which the group says was an Indigenous directions tree.
It's just been really scary and seeing the machinery and the workers moving in is quite horrifying, really.
But Major Roads Projects Victoria disagrees, calling it a fiddleback tree, which has not been assessed as having tangible heritage values. Green Senator Lydia Thorpe has accused Daniel Andrews and federal Liberal MP Susan Lee of having Dudjab Warang blood on their hands. The Premier says the operation had to happen.
This is a dangerous road. It needs to be built. We promised we would. We've been respectful, we've engaged, and we've been true to the spirit of the agreements that had been entered into.
A lawyer representing Indigenous elders who are fighting to save these trees has told 9 News he'll launch legal action in the Supreme Court and apply for an order to stop these works immediately. The government has confirmed 5 large trees, including the birthing tree, won't be removed. A small group of protesters remained in the site this afternoon, with police trying to negotiate with them to leave the restricted area. Eloise Wilkinson, 9 News.
Next in 9 News, the many lives of a former Governor-General put down on paper. A warning to Aussies who could be putting themselves at risk by using alternative medicines. Those details coming up. Scientists quenching our thirst for knowledge of the moon. And was Prince Harry a racist when growing up? His words may shock you.
Sex.
Mr.
Mr. Trump had a sexual encounter with an adult film star.
Lies.
There was a lot that they had to conceal.
And Stormy Daniels.
I won't be bullied anymore.
A president under attack.
Everyone is coming after him. You could see the impending doom.
There's an inferno inside of the president.
It's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic. That's enough. That's enough.
The Trump Show, tonight after the block on 9.
Australia, home to wide open spaces and exotic wildlife. Whatever's thrown at your ride, bring back the shine with Australia's largest range of car care. Available at Supercheap Auto.
Regis Palmerston offers contemporary guest rooms accompanied by poolside relaxation and state-of-the-art conference facilities, specialising in corporate meetings, presentations and networking events through to weddings, Christmas parties and our amazing high teas. Our Asian fusion restaurant, Madame Zha, blends the freshest ingredients in a delicious contemporary menu. We look after our locals, territory rates, amazing dining, rooftop pool. Regis Palmerston, a great place to meet.
Only Jane Halifax can solve TV's most gripping mystery.
The shooter is trying to send a message.
Stream every episode of Halifax Retribution for free. Go to 9now.com.au or download the app.
At Murray Oakley Discount Electrical Retrovision, we really know our stuff. We're the specialists in a huge range of top brand air conditioning. We're the Angle specialists with a full range of Angle fridges and accessories. And we're Darwin's only Weber specialist dealer. We also offer easy ways to pay. And everything we sell is backed up by our 60-day price promise and lowest price guarantee. Our bigger buying power means bigger savings for you. So come and see Don and the friendly crew, the electrical specialists in Darwin.
ANZ Tennis Hot Shots is fun, social and active. And it's the easiest way for kids aged 10 years and under to learn how to play real tennis, build skills through active games, get professional coaching and guidance with a modern program designed to help every child of every age and ability. Best of all, you can unlock your NT Sports voucher at any of these NT tennis clubs. See your local tennis club and ask how your NT Sports voucher can unlock a lifelong love of tennis.
We can help you create your own backyard resort.
EcoDeck, only $16.67 per linear metre. Holman deck lights, just $83.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Dreams shattered. Angry Aussie families fighting council over cruel rezoning laws that have made their homes worthless. A current affair next.
Former Governor-General Sir Peter Cosgrove is a man of many lives, all of them in service to Australia. Now finally retired, the former Australian of the Year has used the spare time to reflect and relive his different careers by writing a memoir.
Soldier, peacemaker, defence chief, Governor-General. Today, another hat.
Yeah, far away.
Sir Peter Cosgrove, author.
It is not written for an Oxford Don. It is written for and about my fellow Australians.
It's the story of the boy from Underwood Street and then working-class Paddington, who as a 7-year-old was in the crowd as the Queen visited Sydney in 1954.
And here they are at last, amongst us, moving in triumphal progress through each city in its turn. Sydney first.
And who rose to become the Queen's man in Australia.
Great combination of empathy and authority.
His was a life in khaki, from Vietnam and onwards, bringing peace to East Timor, the man the nation turned to in times of disasters.
I'm here with my sleeves rolled up and my waterproof boots on.
The Governor-General with a people's touch. 3 Prime Ministers, 896 speeches, who never took the trappings of office too seriously.
Yep, nice digs.
He's now free to express his opinions on the reaction to Scott Morrison's Hawaii holiday. He says an unwarranted storm of abuse. On reports of alleged war crimes by our soldiers in Afghanistan. He suggests repeated tours of duty could be pushing our troops over the line.
We, Australia, the Justice, is exploring that. Who went over the edge and why?
And advice for anyone seeking higher office.
Any young woman or man that be optimistic. Don't write yourself off ever. Those who are hoping for a new start, well,
go for it because this is Australia.
An Australia which allowed the self-described ordinary bloke from Paddo have an extraordinary life. Mark Burrows, 9 News.
An urgent warning's been issued over the dangers of alternative medicines bought from overseas. Doctors fear it could lead to a rise in lead poisoning cases, with young children and pregnant women most at risk.
They're supposed to provide a health boost, but there are fears alternative medicines purchased from overseas could contain a hidden danger: lead.
The ultimate consequence is that it affects the brain, you get an encephalopathy and you can actually die.
Health authorities are worried more people may turn to traditional or herbal remedies sold online during the pandemic, and this could put them and their families at greater risk of lead poisoning.
It is still possible, unfortunately, these days to buy these kind of things online, and they do come into the country in an unregulated way. I really have to advise people, just don't do it.
The warning follows 3 recent cases in SA where patients have fallen ill after taking dodgy medications. A 4-year-old child admitted to the Women's and Children's Hospital for treatment, a 52-year-old presenting to the Flinders ED, while a 36-year-old sought medical help.
These patients often, when they consume very large amounts, have a lot of tummy cramps and they feel very unwell, can make them feel weak, they can feel dizzy, it affects the brain, affects the nervous system, it can affect the kidney.
Parents warned that unborn babies and young children are most at risk of lead poisoning. While medications like these meet Australian standards, pharmacists say there's no way of knowing if medications bought from overseas or online are safe. Customers advised to check labels for approval from the Therapeutic Goods Administration.
It's got that Austell number, that all-important one that says it's registered. It means that it's a safe product.
And speak to a doctor before taking any alternative medicines.
If you want to use complementary medicine, and a large number of us do use complementary medicine, purchase it from an Australian supplier.
Jessica Stanley, 9 News.
Rows of police have taken protesters on a late-night riot through the streets of Philadelphia. A patrol car was set on fire as crowds looted stores. It's in response to the death of another black man who was shot by police while armed with a knife. Belgian doctors and nurses with coronavirus have been told to keep working as cases soar across the country. Those who are infected but asymptomatic are being asked to stay on, with medical staff falling sick in droves. Officials say it's the only option to prevent the hospital system collapsing within days. The moon may hold more water than previously thought. NASA's SOFIA telescope finding water molecules in sunlit areas of the surface, not just the shadows. The finding would mean 20% more terrain has the ability to trap ice water. It's good news for astronauts who could one day use the resources for drinking and making rocket fuel. Prince Harry says he had no idea about unconscious racial bias growing up, but that ignorance is no longer an excuse.
It took me many, many years to realise it, especially then living a day or a week in my wife's shoes.
The Duke was speaking to a British personal trainer who went viral after he was photographed carrying an injured far-right protester to safety at a rally. Are you in your 50s? Chances are you are already at risk of going blind. Coming up, what you can do to potentially save your sight. How paying your power bill will soon get you savings at the checkout. Drivers beware, the new risk facing motorists. And reunited at last, how detectives track down a Holden Tirana stolen in 1992.
Tomorrow on Today, cricketing legend Michael Clarke joins us to spill on what he's been up to during lockdown.
Plus, buy now, pay later services will boom pre-Christmas. Our experts' advice on how not to get into trouble. See you from 5:30.
Fantasize about this back in Chicago.
Hi, Shane here from Able Insurance Services. As your local experts, we're able to provide insurance solutions for home and motor, trades, business, as well as personal accident. Now more than ever, it's important to assess your expenses. Don't think your existing provider's giving you the best deal. Let us fight for you, even if that means with your existing provider. So remember, we can't act, but we sure know insurance.
The MacArthur River Mine, producing minerals for products we use every day, creating job opportunities, developing lifelong skills, regions, supporting community projects, investing in locals, nurturing future generations. How are they all connected? Through one natural resources company, Glencore. Discover how we're connecting possibilities every day.
Got an old commercial pressure washer needing an upgrade? Whether it's 10 years old or not working at all, now's the time to trade in your old commercial pressure washer and save. Get up to $1,500 trade-in discount across a range of Karcher's hot and cold commercial pressure washers. And if eligible, take advantage of the government's instant asset write-off. Whether it's cleaning the truck or heavy-duty farm machinery, Karcher has the right equipment to do the job. Visit NT Fasteners Coolangatta today.
BTC Constructions, a professional team who specialise in home renovations, extensions, bathroom refurbishments, verandas. They can take care of that outdoor facelift you've been dreaming of. A local construction company who pride themselves on reliability and strict timeframes. But the best thing they've built? A good reputation. Phone BTC Constructions or find us online.
We've got everything you need at Mower World Darwin, stocking all the big brands and models, including Husqvarna outdoor power equipment, Skag ZTR, Massport, Yamaha golf carts, Husqvarna construction equipment, plus lots more. And keep your eye out for our Husqvarna catalogue that's out now, plus the backing of our sales, service, parts and accessories divisions. We at Mower World Darwin have you covered. Mower World Darwin, Stewart Highway, Berrima, next to Camping World Darwin.
Toy Heaven. Children turn official toy testers and rate what's hot this Christmas.
A puzzle, a train set, an aeroplane.
A current affair next.
It is the leading cause of blindness in Australia, but macular degeneration can be slowed and even stopped. Tonight, the Macular Disease Foundation is calling on Australians over 50 to get an eye check, saying early action can save your eyesight.
If you've been avoiding an eye exam, you're not alone. Almost 40% of Australians in their 50s are skipping important health checks. When it comes to eyesight, macular degeneration is a disease responsible for 50% of blindness. It affects the ability to read, drive and recognise faces. The disease most frequently affects those over 50, with 1 in 7 people developing early signs. The good news is you can reduce your risk with early action.
It's essential to have regular eye examinations at least every 2 years, with a check on the macula at the examination as well, so that any early signs of macular disease can be detected.
While many people are aware of macular degeneration, only 1 in 10 can identify the risk factors: age, family history, smoking and lack of regular eye exams. Today, the Macular Disease Foundation have launched a Check My Macula quiz. In 1 minute and 5 online questions, you can identify your risk. But the best way, doctors say, is to book an appointment with your health professional.
As competition heats up in the energy market, providers are coming up with all sorts of incentives. Now, one of our largest energy retailers is teaming up with a supermarket giant to save you money when you shop.
Pay your electricity bill and get a discount at the checkout. Origin Energy is partnering with Woolworths, offering everyday rewards members up to 10,000 bonus points when they switch their gas and electricity accounts.
It's a really great opportunity for the two organisations to work together to bring that value to customers.
The price is really competitive. Also, there's a green element, which means that they can do good for the planet as well as good for their pocket.
From today, members can also earn 1 point for every $1 of usage or supply. When the balance hits 2,000 points, you get $10 off your grocery bill. It might just take you a while to get there.
An average family should be able to earn over 2,000 points within a year across their electricity and their natural gas bill.
This new deal takes on AGL and Coles, already paired up to give customers the option to earn Flybuys points, while Red Energy has a partnership with Qantas, offering frequent flyers.
Regulatory changes mean they can no longer just talk about big energy discounts. They've got to look at more creative ways of attracting consumers' attention.
With discounting off the table, energy retailers will keep coming up with sweeteners to get our business. But as consumers, we need to ensure we're choosing a product based on its merit, or it could end up costing far more. And frequently review your bill to make sure you're still getting a good deal.
Play the game, find the best value-add benefits. Just make sure the energy rates you're paying in the first instance are not too high.
Kate Creedon, 9 News.
They are the terrifying close calls, crashes and spins that shouldn't be happening on our roads, all because drivers aren't looking out for roadside emergencies and breakdowns. 9 News is able to show you the heart-stopping incidents caught on camera.
A moment of distraction with dangerous consequences. The ute and trailer skid across the Bruce Highway when a driver narrowly misses a stationary tow truck.
Daily, you see people being distracted on the road, not paying attention.
A similar incident, this time on the M1. A driver spins out of control after colliding with a semi when merging to avoid a roadside assistance vehicle, pushed nearly 100 metres and sliding dangerously close to workers.
We've seen some very close shave with our roadside operators. We've seen people going way too close to them and putting them in extreme danger.
When workers get dispatched to a job, they never know what they'll be faced with until they arrive. That includes speed, with motorists driving past anywhere between 50 to 110 kilometres an hour.
The whole vehicle moves, your body moves, you get a gush of wind that actually can physically push you.
Do you fear for your life every time you jump out?
Yes, because at any stage something could go wrong.
Now a push to protect those working to help others on our roads.
We're looking for legislation like the 1 metre rule for cyclists, where motorists get out of the lane, move over.
A rule that would increase the risky working space and create around a 2 metre safety barrier for traffic response units.
There's no second chance for these workers. If they're hit at these speeds, they will die, and that's the fact.
It will make it safer and for me, and make sure I do go home at the end of my shift.
Natasha Kramer, 9 News.
Meanwhile, a Darwin driver has captured shocking dashcam footage of the moment a P-plater failed to give way as they turned onto Conway Terrace at Palmerston yesterday afternoon. The car can be seen flipping onto its side and the airbag releasing. Luckily, the driver was okay, but it is a timely reminder to stay safe on our roads. A Victorian woman has proven that dreams really do come true after her stolen Holden Torana was returned nearly 3 decades after being stolen. Car owner Carol Richards says there's not a day that's gone by that she hasn't wished for it to be found.
Back on the bonnet of her pride and joy, it's like no time has passed for this pink pin-up girl. But it's been 28 years since Carol Richards sat behind the wheel of her Holden Torana, and she's not wasting another second.
Will you race the car again now?
You bet. I'll probably hit Winton first.
The 74-year-old opera singer raced at Sandown, Phillip Island and even Bathurst before the XU1 was stolen from her Burwood driveway in 1992. 6 years ago, police smashed a car rebirthing syndicate and after an exhaustive search, tracked down Carol's car, which had been sold to an innocent Holden fan.
The car had been re-identified with new numbers and things. It's gone through various people's hands and it's been restored again.
My mouth just dropped wide open. Oh, maybe it's got a homing pigeon under the bonnet. I don't know.
While her Eltham High schoolmate, Peter Brock, nicknamed his the Beast, Carol calls hers Sexy Lexi. She taught her son to drive in it and now he'll teach his.
She's just been so depressed over the years. We'd pretty much lost all hope on ever finding the car.
After all these years, Sexy Lexi is still in prime condition, but one thing that has changed is her value. Carol bought the beauty for $1,500 in 1973. It's now worth more than $130 grand.
Do you think you would sell it?
You're kidding. It'll be over my dead body.
Lana Murphy, 9 News.
Well, not even a pandemic can stop the race that stops the nation, and as such, the Melbourne Cup Carnival was officially launched at Flemington today. Although the VRC's hopeful of having owners on course, the empty stance will remain just that. Regardless, the roses are still in full bloom, and while they'll be lacking their usual army of admirers, the show will go on.
Cup Week being back, albeit in a reduced sense, is a really important thing for Melbourne and indeed Australia.
The Cup Carnival begins on Saturday with the running of the Derby. Coming up in sport, only 9 News reveals who will play in the Maroons for Game 1. Dusty Martin comes up short in Richmond's club best and fairest. Will a home ground advantage bring the Wallabies a hop closer to victory? And Danny O'Brien's bid for back-to-back cups.
For the first time in Origin history, a 3-week blockbuster. State of Origin, next Wednesday on 9.
This country makes some pretty extraordinary things. People, places, and over 65 years ago, Santos was made here too. Since discovering natural gas, we have been working behind the scenes supplying it to generations of Australians, while helping support communities, industries, our economy, and those everyday moments.
Santos is proudly made in Australia.
But it is Australia that's made us.
At Murray Oakley Discount Electrical Retrovision, we really know our stuff. We're the specialists in a huge range of top brand air conditioning. We're the Angle specialists with a full range of Angle fridges and accessories. And we're Darwin's only Weber specialist dealer. We also offer easy ways to pay. And everything we sell is backed up by our 60-day price promise and lowest price guarantee. Our bigger buying power means bigger savings for you. So come and see Don and the friendly crew, the electrical specialists in Darwin.
We've got everything you need at World Darwin, stocking all the big brands and models, including Husqvarna outdoor power equipment, Skag ZTR, Massport, Yamaha golf carts, Husqvarna construction equipment, plus lots more. And keep your eye out for our Husqvarna catalogue that's out now, plus the backing of our sales, service, parts and accessories divisions. We at World Darwin have you covered. World Darwin, Stewart Highway, Berrima, next to Camping World Darwin.
Beds R Us want all of Australia to sleep on a premium Swiss-Tech mattress.
So we've decided to go your halves.
Fair income, half price on a premium Swiss-Tech mattress. That's a great deal. Beds R Us, home with the Australian-made mattress.
Hi, Shane here from Able Insurance Services. As your local experts, we're able to provide insurance solutions for home and motor, trades, business, as well as personal accident. Now more than ever, it's important to assess your expenses. Don't think your existing provider is giving you the best deal. Let us fight for you, even if that means with your existing provider. So remember, we can't act, but we sure know insurance.
And wasn't so handy. A current affair next.
This sports report brought to you by Harvey Norman. Shop online, mobile or in-store today.
The Tiwi Bombers' Austin Wanamere is facing a minimum 2-match suspension for striking Southern District's James Bell in their round 4 NTFL clash on Saturday, while Darwin Buffalo's midfielder Jalen Clark has been charged with headbutting during their match against Waratah. Clark can accept a 1-match penalty with an early guilty plea. Richmond's Jayden Short has choked back tears after claiming his maiden Jack Dyer medal for the club's best and fairest, the defender opening up following a challenging year.
Obviously 2020 started pretty for me. I lost my old man and I didn't know what was going to happen this year, and to win this, it's an amazing feeling.
Short edged out two-time winner Dustin Martin by 3 votes. Who will line up for the Maroons in the State of Origin Series Open is becoming clearer as Wayne Bennett trims down his 27-man squad. 9 News understands Jake Friend will win the race for the hooker jersey ahead of Ben Hunt and Harry Grant.
He's been in Origin selection discussions for a long time, but Jake Friend could be just a week away from finally making his Maroons debut.
I never lost hope. I guess you just do your thing at club footy and hope that's enough to, get you to these sort of camps.
Queensland coach Wayne Bennett has always held the Noosa product in high regard.
I actually met with Wayne when I was 15 at the Broncos to see about signing on with them.
He chose the Roosters instead, winning 3 premierships along the way. 9 News understands it's that big game experience that will see Friend win the race for the number 9 jersey, ahead of NRL Rookie of the Year Harry Grant and Ben Hunt, who's set to be the backup dummy half on the bench.
Yeah, always happy to do whatever, mate. It's up for grabs at the moment, but ideally, playing number 9, but at the end of the day, if I'm in the team, then it's all good.
The Maroon squad will be expanded tomorrow to include 6 players who contested the NRL Grand Final, and they'll have little time to adapt, with Queensland to hold just 3 more sessions here at their training base on the Gold Coast before Origin 1 kicks off in Adelaide.
It will be a bit different, but I'm sure Wayne and the coaching staff have it all under wraps.
Adam Jackson, 9 News.
James Tedesco has given himself until Saturday to prove his fitness for Origin 1. The Blues fullback had his knee heavily strapped at training today.
I feel good, yeah. I'm in my head, I feel pretty clear and feel pretty confident in it. So I think that's the main thing, just getting my head right and then all the body right as well. So in my head, I'm pretty confident to play game 1.
And Gutherson is the favourite to take over at fullback if Tedesco isn't right. But Ryan Pappenhausen is another option. The Storm custodian will arrive in camp on Thursday. NRL CEO Andrew Abdo will personally speak to Cameron Smith about his comments suggesting the referees tried to manufacture an exciting finish to the NRL Grand Final. But the Storm skipper will not be sanctioned.
I think Cameron, could be smarter with his choice of words, but there's going to be no formal action taken.
The Premiership-winning Storm is currently having their Player Awards night in quarantine on the Sunshine Coast. The Wallabies believe a vocal home crowd can help them turn the tables on the All Blacks on Saturday.
A test match hasn't been played here in a while, so I think that's definitely positive, and we can tell that the vibe here is very exciting. So I think that's going to be a huge lift for us.
The Wallabies must win, or the Bledisloe Cup will remain in New Zealand for a 19th straight year. With the Melbourne Cup Carnival officially launched today, master trainer Danny O'Brien is again poised to play a central role. As well as eyeing another cup, O'Brien likes his chances in Saturday's Victoria Derby.
Flemington has rarely looked better, but 90 years after Phar Lap lit up the course, and its past glories which are inspiring the present.
Lifting the spirits of an entire nation during the Great Depression, that to some extent, Cup Week this year will do the same.
In 2019, the Cup Carnival belonged to one man, Danny O'Brien. Collecting both the Melbourne Cup and the Oaks, O'Brien lived a week like no other. And the prospect of back-to-back Cup triumphs remains a live chance this year after Russian Camelot's run to third in the Cox Plate.
He's super. He's had a really good build-up. He'll get to the 2 mile here next Tuesday. Hopefully we'll be able to ride him a little bit more conservative.
But first, there's the $2 million Victoria Derby, where he'll saddle up 3 runners, including $3 favourite Young Werther.
He's as fit or fitter than horses like Vow and Declare and Russian Camelot who are going to run the Melbourne Cup.
While Chris Waller is hoping 3rd time's the charm for Finch after finishing 4th and 7th in 2 attempts at the Great Race.
He certainly hasn't been disgraced in his 2 goes at the Melbourne Cup, so he's deserving of his spot there again this year.
The VRC is eagerly awaiting a decision from government tomorrow, with hopes it could now have a limited number of owners on course for the Melbourne Cup following the easing of restrictions. It won't have the same hype as previous carnivals, but the prizes on offer are as sought after as ever. Brayden Ingram, 9 News.
All right, Ali has your full weather report after the break. And Ali, any chance of a storm tomorrow?
Paul, it's certainly looking that way, and I'll have all the details right away for you next.
Nine News Darwin, proudly brought to you by TIO, insurance for Territorians.
Dreams shattered. Angry Aussie families fighting council over cruel rezoning laws that have made their homes worthless. A current affair next.
The Barbecues Galore Darwin showroom with the big brands in modern outdoor living. Compare the Ziegler and Brown range, plus offset smokers and low and slow barbecues. See the huge Barbecues Galore's showroom at 660 Stewart Highway, Berrima.
Do up the trailer, car and boat at Wholesale Paint Group.
Don't pay big bucks, do it yourself thanks to our advice and tools. Do your car for under $800. Restore your boat, restore your trailer. All the gear you need for your job. Low prices here in Darwin.
DIY, but from spring. Get the best results when you do it our way.
Coonawarra Road, Darwin.
Wholesale Paint Group.
At Total Tools, we won't be beaten on professional automotive tools. Our Gear Up catalogue is out now. Sockets, spanners, chests, trolleys, jacks, grease. We've got your automotive tool needs covered. Total Tools. Low prices on every tool for every trade. Guaranteed.
Don't just get a forklift. Get Toyota's legendary reliability. Get world-leading safety. Get more uptime.
And get more value for your business.
Don't just get a forklift. Give your business the Toyota advantage.
Love exploring the territory? It's good to know that with TIO Comprehensive Car Insurance, if you have an accident covered by your policy, we're here to help with the reasonable costs of towing. Get a quote today. TIO, we're for Territorians.
For the wet and dry season, Yeti is built for the NC. Camping World and Complete Angler are your authorised Yeti dealer. Our huge Yeti display holds the cold and keeps the heat. Find the right Yeti cooler or drinkware for your next outdoor adventure. From Ramblers to Tundras to the irresistible Yeti Colster can coolers. Beat the territory heat and step up to the real thing. Your Yeti authorised dealer is Camping World and Complete Angler Darwin.
This weather alert brought to you by Fridgelec, your Dakin air conditioning specialists.
Hello again. There was plenty of rain about today. It was tracking in over the rural area across Palmerston and it did hit the northern suburbs. Darwin today reached a top of 32 degrees and right now in the Botanic Gardens it's 30 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite, thunderstorms are seen over the top end. A cold front and associated low lies off the coast of central New South Wales, while a trough of low pressure extends from the southern Western Australia to the NT. For the capitals tomorrow, showers and storms are likely for Brisbane. A top of 21 for Sydney with a shower or two. Canberra is getting down to 8 degrees. Showers also forecast for Hobart, sunny in Adelaide and partly cloudy for Perth, and possible showers for Melbourne. Back home, storms are forecast across the top end, but it's still quite warm conditions. A top of 33 for Katherine, it's fine in Tennant Creek, mostly sunny in Alice Springs, a top of 32 there and fine for Yalara as well. On the Darwin Harbour, seas are below 1 metre, winds northeasterly before dawn, becoming west to northwesterly in the morning. A low tide of 2.3 metres at 11 a.m, rising to 5.9 metres just before 5 in the afternoon. Time to check out our catch of the day, and today's winner is Kate, who caught this beautiful blue bone on a charter near Dundee. Well done, Kate. Don't forget to send your catch of the day entries to newsphotos@9.com.au. Back in the top end and in Palmerston tomorrow, storms are forecast with a top of 33. A little warmer in Humpty Doo, storms also likely there. Wet weather is also forecast for Darwin with a top of 32. And taking a look at the next 7 days, those forecast storms should stick around until the weekend when it should clear up. And Paul, so it looks like it's going to be a wet couple of days across Darwin for the next few days.
The umbrella is at the ready. Thank you very much, Ali. See you tomorrow. Now to finance, and billions were lost on the share market today after selling in the US and Europe washed into the Australian session. Here's business reporter Chris Kohler.
This could be the start of a rocky week ahead of the US election. About $37 billion wiped off our market today, the worst session we've had in a month. Tech stocks were hammered both here and overseas. Afterpay and Zip down sharply. Now, they've been some of the best performers this year, so had become potentially a bit expensive. And rising international COVID cases also sucked the life out of travel companies once again. But all sectors were down. In fact, all of the top 15 biggest stocks in Australia lost ground today. But the Australian dollar was a little brighter today at 71.3 US cents and 60.3 euro cents. And apart from the US election watching this week, we also have Australian inflation figures tomorrow and likely an interest rate cut on Tuesday. So plenty to look out for.
Well, a former British paratrooper nicknamed the Flying Fish attempted to set a new world record for jumping from an aircraft into water without a parachute. The 34-year-old daredevil hurled himself towards the waves from a height of 40 metres as a safety team of divers watched on, more like the falling fish. A spokesperson for the Guinness World Record said it was still awaiting evidence of him resurfacing. No, of his attempt. That's 9 News for Tuesday. I'm Paul Taylor from all of the team. See you all tomorrow from 6 o'clock. Good night.